Hello my lovelies, welcome to your practice. So we're going to do a yin style practice today. Grab a blanket. If you don't have a blanket, a nice big bath towel would be great. And I've got bolsters here, some small ones and a big one. Please go grab pillows off your bed, cushions, anything that you want. Bring it onto your mat and we will have some fun in a yin practice, just using some of the props to help support our body as we move through these longer hold shapes. So I'll see you back in a moment when you have everything you need. Okay, my lovely. So let's have you sitting up nice and tall. So we want to be on our sit bones. So please feel very welcome to sit your bum on a blanket. So sometimes just getting yourself up a little bit gives a little bit more space for you. Okay, we're just going to wake the spine up a little bit. We're going to be doing quite a lot of side bending work and some twisting through our practice today. I'm going to get into the hips a little bit. So let's just wake the spine up with just some movement. So let go of doing anything with your breath. Just allow the body to breathe itself. We don't need to try and do a yoga breath. We'll do a little bit of breathing within the practice, but just for now, just allow the body to breathe itself. However your breath is showing up, however your body is choosing to breathe, just allow that play, okay? So just sitting with your hands on your knees, let's take a moment. Just land, let go of your day. And have your eyes closed if that feels good. Otherwise, just have your eyes open, just a soft gaze at a point on the ground in front of you. Again, just noticing, taking the temperature of how you feel right now. And then as you're ready, pick a hand, because we're going to do both sides. So we're going to just stretch out with one arm. Press through the sit bone on that side. Reach up. And when you're ready to exhale, bring that arm down. Finish your exhale. And then we'll stretch out with the other side. So again, just pressing down actively through the sit bones as you reach up with your fingers. And then exhale as you're ready, finishing your exhale. And we'll just take a couple more breaths. So just this is creating a stretch. Before we start going over from side to side, just this is creating a stretch. And it means the stretch is going to start at the hip rather than at the armpit. But we're going to add on to the stretch. So as you reach up with your arm, press down through the sit bone and then just add. We're just drawing over to one side, okay, and back. But keep the base of your stretch at the sit bones. So we're reaching up first, and then from that reaching up, it's almost like an up and over, okay, rather than just an over. Right? So we want to reach up from the sit bones, reach out through the pinky finger and then head over to the side. So just this beautiful slow motion movement, really starting to create some mindfulness in the stretch rather than just doing these very mechanical rote movements. Right? So we want to be present in a practice, just noticing all the sensations in the body as you are opening up. And there's no hurry, we're just moving with our breath. We're not actually actively deepening the breath or trying to do anything with it in particular. We're just allowing the body to start to unwind on its own. The next time you bring your arm down, we'll just take a pause here. And again, pick a side as you're ready. We're going to just take an exhale into a twist. And again, doesn't have to be your biggest twist. Inhale back to center. And exhaling to the other side. So this is just waking up the spine. Again, we don't have to reef on the body. We don't have to try and twist ourselves all the way around. We're just opening up the body. See if you can take the twist all the way to the crown of the head rather than just feeling it through the sacral joints. So rather than just feeling it in the low back, see if you can take it all the way up to the crown of the head. We'll do a couple more. So we're drawing the shoulders back. We're turning the head as well. Okay. And coming back to center. So this one we're going to do the same side because we're going to put a twist and the side bend in together. So as you're ready, sitting up nice and tall, we're going to take our left fingers to the right knee and let the right fingers just sit behind the right butt cheek. Take an inhale here, lengthen out through the crown of the head. And as you exhale, see if you can just draw that right shoulder back. And then left fingers, inhale. We're going to take the left arm up across our face, press down through the left sit bone, and then just see if we can create a little bit of side bend in that twist. Okay, so we're playing around with range of motion here. Okay, so we've come into this pose nice and slowly. So we've got a twist and a side bend happening, but in a mindful way. Now on your next exhale, we're going to completely unravel, hands back onto the knees. Take a nice deep inhale here. And exhale, right hand onto the left knee. Let the left hand just land behind the left butt cheeks. And then from here, left finger, so we're still in that little bit of a twist. So again, it's not the biggest twist you've ever done. We're going to inhale, float the right hands up across the face. Okay, and then as you're ready, press down into the right sit bones, reach up with the right fingers, and a little bit of a side bend in the twist. And then next time you're ready to exhale, we'll unravel nice and slowly. Let's take a breath here. All right, my lovelies. So let's come lying down on our back. We're going to come into a very simple, very humble twist. So you might want your cushions either side of your knees. We won't need the big cushion until the end. You can have your blanket for your head. We're going to lay feet on the floor, knees bent. Let your body come down. We'll have airplane arms. We're going to pick up the hips and just shift them over to the left and let your knees fall to the right. So as we do that, again, maybe you'll want your pillow under your knees. Maybe you'd like your pillow between your knees. Maybe you need both, okay? And let's actually have the nose and the knees pointing in the same direction. And the reason I'm offering you to have your nose and your knees in the same direction, because it actually creates a little bit more stretch underneath the left shoulder blade. So just allowing your body to settle here. Just noticing if your breath has slightly shifted as you've come into the shape. So we're creating a little bit of compression throughout the abdomen. So just noticing your breath. And we can maybe even see if we can be a little bit more active with the breath. So as you inhale, see if you can inhale into the compression of your belly, feeling the ribs open, again in that little bit of a twisted, compressed state. See if you can breathe into that. And as you exhale, just allowing the body to sink down and relax completely. So inhaling Just feeling the breath come down into the compression of the belly, into the ribs, finding all that space through the left ribs. And exhaling, just letting the breath go. All right, my loves, on your next inhale, let's bring the head back to center. And as you exhale, bring the knees back to center. You can bring your knees into your chest to reset the spine. And hug them in if that feels good. And then as you're ready, exhale, plant feet down on the ground. Make your arms cactus or airplane arms. We're going to pick the hips up and scooch them over to the right. Let them rest down on the mat. And as you exhale, let your knees come over to the left. So as we hang out here, remembering we have our props. So you might have your cushions under your knees. You might have your cushions between your knees. You might have your cushions under and between your knees, whatever you need. And again, I'm going to invite you to turn your head so your nose and your knees are in the same direction. Again, we're just taking that twisted shape and we're just creating a little bit more stretch underneath the right shoulder blade this time. So as we breathe here, breathing into the belly, inhaling, feeling that compression of your belly, of your ribs, and as you exhale, just allowing the body to relax completely so you can let go. As you breathe in, just maybe feeling how that right side of your rib cage just feels a little bit more spacious. Maybe take the breath a little bit deeper in there. Nice deep inhale. Let's bring the head back to center. As you exhale, bringing the knees back to center. We can hug the knees into the chest. If it feels good to rock from side to side, you can do that. Beautiful. All right, my lovely. So let's rest our feet down. So for this next one, we don't necessarily need any props, but if you want your blanket as we come into this next one, you might have to take your blanket with you. So we're going to scooch ourselves over onto the left side of our mat. So just scooching yourself all the way over, and if you have a blanket, bring it with you. I'm going to straighten out the legs. And we'll rest our arms down by our sides. So take a moment, have a little fidget. So feel all those points where your body touches the mat. And just allow your body to be held by the ground beneath you. So just feeling that softness in your body, feeling that sense of support in every point that your body touches the mat. Notice if you're feeling that one part of your body feels a little bit more weighted. It might just be you need to adjust very slightly. So do take just a little bit of time. This is the foundation. This is a starting point. So we want to start out mindfully. It sets the tone for the rest of the pose. So as you're ready, we're going to scooch our shoulders over to the right. So we're taking our shoulders and letting the head fall up. And then once you settle here, we can take our feet over to the right. So we want the hips on the mat evenly. So the left hip isn't floating up off the floor. The left hip is evenly weighted. I'm going to invite you to take your left arm up overhead. Let it land on the floor behind you. Okay? And then just let your arm soften and bend until your hand is gently resting on the floor. So if your arm's kind of flying up in the air, you need to bring the arm down by your side to the point where your fingers and your elbow are kind of resting comfortably, so you don't feel there's any kind of holding. And then we're going to take our right foot and put the right foot over the left. Okay? And when we do this, what we're doing is we're anchoring into the left hip. So the stretch goes all the way from the left ankle up into the left pinky finger, right? So you can turn your head to the right if you wish. And just hang out here for a few breaths. So the gallbladder meridian runs down through the side body. And in Eastern medicine, when the gallbladder is out of balance, tends to show up emotionally as those times where we're having poor judgment, poor decision making, we dither about things. Kind of feel timid, we lack confidence. We have some digestive issues, such as nausea. And also, in Eastern medicine, when our gallbladder is out of balance, we tend to have kind of a muscle pain. And there's pain in our body. So just allowing your body to completely soften here. As you're ready, let's uncross the ankles. And we'll float the arm down by your side. And we'll take feet back over to the left side. And gently bring your shoulders back. So again, if you took your blanket, take your blanket back. And again, have a little fidget, bend the knees if you need to, reset your hips, and just let your body lay down on the floor as if we were going to float into a little mini Shavasana. Just notice maybe you feel a little bit different from one side of the body to the other. Or maybe you don't. And then let's bend the knees. And we're going to scooch ourselves all the way over to the right side of the mat. So again, take a breath here. Land here. This is your foundation for the whole pose. And we want to remain mindful. We want to remain intentional in our practice. So just checking out all the points where your body touches the floor. And just check in with those. You feel the weight evenly. And if you don't, have a little fidget, right? Settle yourself so that we have a beautiful foundation that we can move into a shape on this side. So notice how your mind loves to hurry, okay, and race to the end, and then race to the next pose, right? So let's see if we can dial that back so we can stay present, so we can stay in the moment. As you're ready, we'll take our shoulders over to the left. If you're using a blanket to rest your head on, take the blanket with you. Keep your head centered. And then once you've settled your shoulders, you can walk your feet over to the left side. Taking a breath here, just let that side body open up. Just notice if it feels a little bit too much or if it's just the right amount. And then when you're ready, you can float the right arm up overhead. So again, as you float it up overhead, let the hand land on the floor so that your body can relax. Your arm is supported. The weight of your arm is resting on the ground. Okay? So if you need to bend your arm a little bit, so if your arm's kind of floating and it's just up in the air, bend the elbow and bring the body or the arm down out to the side of the body until that point where the arm is supported by the ground. And then as you're ready, we'll cross the left foot over the right. So again, we're just grounding down, anchoring the right hip. So the stretch is actually through the whole right side of the body rather than just stretching the low back and the hip. Okay? So when we do our feet the other way, it might feel like you're getting more stretch, but what's actually happening is you're just intensifying the stretch in one part of the body rather than allowing the stretch to go through the length of the side body. You can turn your head to the left if that feels good. So in Western medicine recognizes gallbladder dysfunction as digestive issues such as nausea, and it also recognizes muscle pain as a gallbladder dysfunction. So the beauty of a yin practice is these long-held stretches create a sense of acupressure in our body. Just freeing up the movement of energy in the meridians. In Western science is catching up with machinery, technology that can actually measure and identify energy moving through the body along these kind of ancient meridian lines. In yoga, they're called nadi channels. We'll just take a few more breaths here. So really just let yourself sink in. Let your body completely soften into your stretch. As you're ready, we'll uncross the legs and we'll float the arm down. And just shift your body kind of back to the center of your mat. Maybe bend the knees. Maybe bring your knees into your chest and just hug them in. And rock from side to side if that feels good. Again, just laying back down, taking a breath here as if we were going into Shavasana. So can you give your body permission to completely relax, even if it's just going to be for a breath or two? Imagine your body is a beautiful still lake and you're going to playfully drop a pebble in the center. So you're dropping a pebble right where your belly button is. And just feel the ripples of relaxation ripple out from your belly button. Just for a couple more breaths. All right, my loves, let's bend our knees. We'll come rolling over onto our right side. Rest your head upon your arm. Just take a breath here. And then as you're ready, we're going to peel ourselves up off the floor. And we'll come up to sitting. Okay. So in our next pose, we're going to come into a swan pose. Remember, we're holding for time. So we'll start with the right leg. And I'm going to give you a couple of different versions. And you'll pick the version that suits you best. So this is where you want to have all your pillows and your cushions handy, ready to use. And you can decide how much or how little you need. So you may want your blanket for your left leg, and we're going to start up in hands and knees pose, right? So I've got my cushions and I've got my big bolster, okay? So I'm going to show you. So if you know you're quite flexible, you know that you've got some mobility in your hips, the first option is you're going to slide your right knee all the way to your right wrist. And then you're going to swing your right foot past your right hip past your left hip towards your left wrist. And you're going to decide how far you can go, okay? And then you're going to land down. And we kind of want to be centered here. So if you're finding your hip is floating, this is where you get one of your cushions, okay? And you can put your cushion under your hip. So we want to be kind of centered as best we can, okay? Back leg is parallel to the floor, okay? And then we're going to come down onto our forearms. So again, if you're kind of up here, if you can't come down and rest your head on your forearms, rather than being up in the shoulders and gripping, you take another one of your cushions and you put that under your belly and under your chest and come into your shape. And if you need something under your head, you can have something under your head. Now for some of you, that's going to be perfect. For some of you, you might need a little bit more. So for you guys, what I'm going to suggest is you have your nice big pillow. So if you've got pillows from your bed, maybe stack two, and you're going to bring your right foot forward as if we were going to do a lunge, okay? And then just lift your leg over, okay? And you can put your cushions on a little bit of an angle, okay? And you can rest on your cushions like this. So this is another great way of doing the pose, okay? And then we can just build the rest of the cushions up. And you can let your body rest on the cushions and let your head be heavy, okay? So that's an option. Now for some of you, if your hips are super, super tight and that's just not your happy place, what I'm going to suggest you do, hands and knees pose. Just bring the foot to the left knee. You can sit in your left hip, in your right hip. You can use your cushions and rest your body, right? So everyone has an option right here. And one of these options will work. Let your forehead rest on the ground or on your back of your hands. And just breathe here. So taking the breath nice and slow, inhaling and exhaling. So oftentimes when we think of the gallbladder meridian being in balance, kind of taking everything that we thought of out of balance. So we have a sense of courage when a gallbladder meridian is balanced. We're decisive. We have good judgment, helpful judgment. Our digestion is strong. There's ease in our body. The muscles are able to relax. The gallbladder meridian, the gallbladder energy is much more than that. It's much more than just making good decisions. When the gallbladder is really in balance, when the gallbladder meridian doesn't have any blockages and the energy can move through with ease, it's a really steady base for the process of deliberation to happen. We're able to make decisions with discernment beyond our personal and immediate needs. So there's a much more broader scope. There's a much more kind of seeing the big picture in our decision making. So I'm going to let you ponder that as we hang out a little bit longer in our shape. as we hang out here, if you are in your swan shape without really too many props, so if you're in that kind of the first one that I showed you where maybe there's just something under your knee and perhaps something under your hip, I'm going to invite you to actually bring your body over to the left side. You can rest your head on your arm and you can look down at your right toes and your left leg. So we're just coming into a little bit of a side bend here. So it's not for everyone. This doesn't feel good in your body. If you're using a lot of props, I think it's best that you stay as you are, but I'm going to leave it to your discernment. But do notice if you feel any pulling in your right knee. If you're feeling pulling in your right knee, use your discernment, your good judgment, your helpful judgment, and ease out of the shape a little bit, whichever version you're in, side bend or forward bend. Alright, my loves, as you're ready, if you're in that kind of side stretch shape, let's come back to center. And then everyone's going to come up onto their forearms and then put the palms under the shoulders. And I'm going to invite you to come out of this shape, okay? And come into a shape that your body would like to be in. So option is you can curl the toes under, lift up, and stretch into a down facing dog. That's not for everyone though. So it might be that you curl your toes up, under, lift up, and come into a hands and knees pose, okay? And then from your down facing dog, from your hands and knees pose, just decide if there's something that you'd like to do. You can stay in down facing dog. You can do kind of windscreen wipers in your hands and knees pose, or you might find a couple of breaths in child pose feels good. So again, just listening to the needs of your body. What would your body like right now? Alright, my lovelies, as you're ready, let's come back onto hands and knees. So we're going to take this to the other side, okay? So again, just as a reminder, because sometimes it's a little bit left, right? What? Chances are everyone's going to like a blanket under their right knee. So for those of you that don't need lots of props, I'm going to invite you to slide your left knee towards your left wrist and then slide your foot towards your right ankle. And again, you'll decide how close your foot is going to be to your right ankle. Okay, you're going to check out that your right leg is parallel to the side of your mat. Okay, and you're going to find that kind of center. Now, if you're having to roll a little bit to the side, this is where just put something under your hip and come down onto your forearms. If you need a little bit more, if you're kind of up in your shoulders, this is where you're going to put a cushion under your chest, under your belly. You can come down, okay? And then for some of you, that's still not going to be quite enough. So again, for you guys, what I'm going to invite you to do is take your pillow, okay? And then we're going to slide our knee, we're going to take our foot as if we were going to do a lunge, okay? And then you're going to put your cushion on a bit of an angle, okay? And then you can bring your foot over, okay? And you can rest and you can use your cushions and blocks. Okay, so there's an option. And then for some of you, that's still not gonna work out for you. So again, for you guys, you're gonna just slide the knee and roll into the left hip. And then just bring that bolster or the cushions to your body, and then you can rest here. So everyone has a version that will work for them. So just slowly breathing, settling in to the shape that you've chosen, the shape that's going to work for you today. And just breathing here. Yeah, this is where we in a yoga practice get to practice discernment. Right? Is this the best shape for our body? Do we need to modify? Again, just because we do something on one side, the other side might need to be a little bit different. We can maybe do a little bit more, or we might need to do a little bit less. Sometimes when a gallbladder is out of balance, our decision making is challenged. So sometimes our ego gets in the way, and our poor judgment leads us to be overly confident in our ego, forcing our body into shapes that aren't the most helpful. Okay, so when we're using discernment, we're listening, we're slowing down, we're being with our breath, we're slowing down, we're noticing the sensations, we're noticing if the shape is the best shape for us, or do we need to modify? Or can we do a little bit more? Sometimes we kind of get comfortable, we get good at something, and then we just automatically just sink into the shape we're good at, rather than challenging ourselves a little bit. Okay, so again, make a little investigation, play around with some curiosity. Where are you in this shape? Do you think you could do a little bit more? Does your body suggest that it could do a little bit more? Or maybe your body's saying for this side it needs to do a little bit less. Again, just taking some breaths, hanging out here, just deciding what is working for you, what isn't. And if you feel like you can do a little bit more, so if you're, especially if you aren't using lots of props to be in the shape, okay, I'm going to invite you to think about coming into a little bit of a side bend. So taking yourself over to the right. Again, you can still rest your head on your arm or on your pillows. You can see your left toes, you can see your right leg. So a couple more breaths here. And slowly, if you're in a side bend, let's come back to center. You can come up onto your forearms. And then let's all put our palms under our shoulders. We'll curl the back toes under. And remember, always choices, always choices. So for some of you, coming into down facing dog is going to feel good. Okay, so you can step back and find your down facing dog. Okay, for others of you, it's going to feel more appropriate just to step into a hands and knees pose. If you're in down facing dog, you can walk out your legs, walk the dog. If you're in hands and knees pose, let your hips just swish from side to side in a windscreen wiper. And again, you can choose any shape you want, but if you would like to come into child pose, you can do that. If there's another shape you prefer, if you feel like you want to stay in a down facing dog, you're more than welcome to. Okay? So make the practice your own. And let's have extended child pose. So extended arms, nice wide knees. Let your belly rest between your legs. And we'll just take a couple of breaths here. If you chose to stay in down facing dog, just play around with gently teasing your heels towards the ground and just reaching out through your arms, so finding that stretch through the upper body. Okay, if you're in child pose, pull your sit bones back and see if you can reach your arms forward just a little bit more. Let's take 2 more breaths wherever you are. And then as you're ready, we'll all meet in hands and knees pose. So if you're in down facing dog, just bring your knees down. If you're in child pose, lift yourself up. All right, my lovelies. So we're going to come into our twisted roots for our last pose. So for this one, options, always options. You can have the blanket for your head, and you have all these pillows and cushions that you can have to use. And for some of you, because we're going to have the legs crossed for this twist, for some of you, you might find that having your big cushion or your big pillows, bolster, is a really nice way to catch the bottom knee. Okay? So we're going to lay down on our back and bend the knees. All right, my lovely. So as you're ready, we're going to take the left leg and cross it over the right. So the right thighs, or the thighs are together. The thighs are kind of squeezed together, so it's not figure 4. We're crossing the legs and squeezing the thighs. So press down into your right foot, lift your hips up, slide them to the left, let those hips land, and then we'll bring our knees over to the right, airplane arms. And again, let's have our nose and our knees in the same direction. That way we're giving a little gentle pull under the shoulder blades. Whole body softening here. Just notice where you're holding tension. See if you can let it go. If you need an extra pillow, don't be shy. Okay. Reward yourself. Good, just take a few more breaths here. Next time you inhale, let's take our head back to center. And as you exhale, press in through that bottom foot and help to lever your knees back to center. Lift the hips and land them down. Uncross the legs. Take a breath here, just feeling all the sensations in the body. And as you're ready, we're going to cross the right leg over the left. So we want to squeeze the thighs together. And if you've got pillows and cushions and everything went one side, just take a breath to shift everything over to the other side. So use that on your exhale, move on your exhale, just so your belly is supporting the spine. And then when you're ready, you're going to press down through the left foot, lift your hips and let them land to the right. And as you exhale, just letting your knees fall to the left. You can have cactus arms. And again, I'm going to invite you to actually look in the same direction as your knees. And just allowing your body to relax, to soften, to settle. All right, my loves. On your next inhale, let's bring the nose back to center. So just turning yourself back to center. As you exhale, press through the bottom foot. Help lever your knees back to center. You can lift your hips, reset your spine, uncross the legs. So, my lovelies, give yourself a nice big hug and just rock your upper body from side to side. And then stretch your arms out and then hug yourself the other way. And again, just give yourself a little hug, rock your body, your upper body from side to side. I'm going to head into Shavasana. So if you just let your legs stretch out. If you need something, you can put your cushion under your thighs. So let your feet be wide. Give yourself permission to take up space. Right? It's fine. It's okay to spill off the mat. Right? We kind of have these boundaries that are created, these limits. And as great as the mats are, it's okay to spill off your mat. So let your feet be wide if that feels good. If it feels better to just have your feet falling open at the heels, that's fine too. Let's have palms facing up. So sometimes if we're trying to contain ourselves on the mat, it feels really uncomfortable to have the palms facing up. If you let your arms move out to the sides a little bit, giving yourself some space, okay, you can have your palms facing up very comfortably. Again, just noticing the breath without feeling the need to change anything. Notice as your mind drifts and wanders. Just allow that to happen. If something catches your attention, give yourself permission to just go with it. When we're in Shavasana, when we're in any kind of meditation, it's an opportunity for your mind to catch up with itself so that we can have some space. Sometimes our thoughts just need to be attended to. So in this stillness, as the body relaxes, there's space for that to happen. So we kind of zone out and relax completely, and then kind of suddenly we notice we're thinking about something. So that's fine. It's very natural for the body, for the mind, the body-mind complex to do that. You don't have to suppress thoughts because it's yoga. And we actually attend to the thoughts that need to be attended to. They stop clamoring. They're dealt with. We can let them go. And that's where we find the space and the clarity. All the time we're trying to suppress our thoughts, kind of like holding water in a sieve. We have to struggle. Right? And we just give them a little bit of attention. We are able to let them go and have space for clarity. As you're ready, bring some movement to your fingers and to your toes. You'll stretch the arms up overhead. If it feels good, bend the knees. If you want to move your knees from side to side, you can. If it feels nicer to have your knees into your chest, you can do that. If it feels good to rock your knees from side to side with your knees in your chest, please, by all means, do that. And then let's land our feet on the floor, coming back to stillness. As you're ready, let's come rolling over to the right side. Rest your head upon your arm. Just taking a couple of breaths here. So in this beautiful, spacious mind we've created, where we've attended to our body, our mind. Set an intention that you would like to set for the rest of your day. Maybe it's an intention you'd like to set for the rest of your week. And as you're ready, press your palms into the mat. Nice big inhale, feel nice and buoyant. And as you exhale, and come up to sitting. So sit comfortably, whatever that looks like for you. Let's bring our palms together, thumbs to the heart center. We'll close our practice, we'll chant one Om together. And think about something that you are in gratitude for. Take a deep breath in. And exhale, let the breath go. And let's inhale to close. Satnam, thank you for sharing your practice today, for sharing your time. Namaste.